Welcome to Chronic Combat Conversations, a live look at our best bets, picks, and predictions for every UFC card. Here with your hosts, live TV Scouting MMA and
The Guru back again for UFC Vegas 42, also known as UFC Fight Night 197 or UFC on ESPN Plus 55. Yair Rodriguez taking on Max Holloway. Oh man, we haven't seen Max in a little. We seen Max in a little bit. We haven't seen Yair in 2 years, man, since before the pandemic. This featherweight title eliminator is about as exciting as it could get, and we got an interesting take on it for sure. This card has kind of limped its way here. We've lost two fights this week already. TB.
yeah. It feels like it just keeps on shuffling around. Delize was supposed to fight Anders, I believe. Then Holland pulled out. He was supposed to fight Dawkins now. Then Delize gets COVID. He can't fight Dawkins. I mean, we lost. What other fight did we lose today? Or even the day before? I mean, it's just been a mess getting here, huh? But
We
we are
lost.
going to go ahead. We got 11 fights now, right?
Yeah, we got 11 fights at the moment, and we're good. There's two. There's other than the main event, there are two fights that really, really stand out to me that make them this whole thing worth the price of admission.
Hey, well, let's not waste any time getting down into it because
At
while
least in
last
terms of an
week,
excitement standpoint. An excitement
I,
standpoint. I mean, I'm excited to watch. Like, listen, they're all incredible. I'm excited to watch any type of fight on a Saturday. So I didn't wanted to preface that for sure.
I totally agree with you. And listen, we got 11 fights on this card. Last week, we were so lucky to go UFC 268, baby, live at MSG. We cashed out huge, winning
We
over
did well.
13 units on Bet MMA. If you guys want to go and give us a follow there, you can go to our link tree. Make sure you like and subscribe here to this channel so that you guys get all of the latest updates and all of our best bets. Because if you were following us last week for the big pay-per-view, you were cashing out.
I mean, we cashed out. Like, you don't have to be a big time bettor or have a lot of money to make money following us. That's what this unit stuff means for you. Maybe beginner bettors that don't know what that means. I mean, 13 units essentially means if you bet $10 with us per winning, right, per unit, that would have been $130 winning last week. So that's pretty good. $1,000. I mean, $100. That's 1,300. So.
Yeah, and it
Um,
all depends on what you bet. And listen, our picks are going to stay free. Uh, so just give us a
Always,
follow. That's all we
always
ask
be
for.
free.
Always
Follow
free.
uh follow us, subscribe, send it around, share it, and turn those YouTube notifications on. I got a notification when we were going 30 minutes before live now. That was awesome. So
Oh,
let's yeah, Dr. Phil's
yeah,
making an
Dr. Phil
appearance here.
entering the building early tonight.
Yes, very
so
early.
great. So let's kick off this fight card with a banger. I feel like the UFC does this over and over. They always give us great matchups to start off the card and ones that are sure to excite. Kennedy and Nzechukwu versus Da Unjung. I mean, both of these guys bring the firepower. We saw Nzechukwu fall behind in multiple fights recently, once to Olberg and even in his last fight to Danilo Marquez, but comes back, gets a KO late in each one. And Da Jung showing his all-around game in taking down William Knight his last time out, and has definitely shown his versatility throughout his career in the UFC. In this fight, I mean, we're seeing Nzechukwu at plus 100, Da Jung at minus 120. Is there any way you're leaning on this one?
Honestly, there is. It's one of those fights you kind of see going one of two ways. Kennedy is gonna have, what is it, a 3-inch reach advantage here? Um,
Five
I think
inch.
5 inches. So that's what they say as a big deal. That's gonna be helpful when you especially saw Daong Jung, what was it, just 2 fights ago, struggle with the distance striking of one Sam Alvey. So that could really be a problem. Um, on the other hand, you saw uh, Kennedy and Nzechukwu
Nzechukwu.
in Nzechukwu.
Yes.
Kennedy and Nzechukwu. I've said that before. Kennedy and Nzechukwu. Jesus. Kennedy, whatever, man. My man Kennedy is you've seen him struggle with the grappling, right? With Danilo Marquez before Marquez actually gassed out completely and then got standing KO'd because he refused to throw any more punches based on being gassed. So I do think that yeah, and you actually touched on it briefly in your lead up. We saw Dong Jung use his grappling, and I honestly think that if Dong Jung can get inside, not spend too much time standing with somebody that's going to have such a large striking advantage, reach advantage, right? As long as he can get that fight to the ground, he's going to have a much better time dominating this fight, gassing Kennedy out, and maybe getting a late finish or just winning a decision.
I feel like one of the greatest skills of Kennedy Nzechukwu is his resilience and ability to fight back through adversity. I don't know that Jung is one of those people to wither as the fight goes on. We've seen him get a round 3 submission against Khadis Ibragimov. We've seen him work his way to a dominant unanimous decision against Thick William Knight. Listen, I really do think that Jung possesses the all-around talent, and we've seen him use his wrestling, getting to a mounted crucifix and getting a ground and pound finish before he even got into the UFC. So this isn't something that he's afraid to use, and we did see it in his very last fight. If we go specifically to the grappling stats, I mean, Jung has 2.79 takedowns per 15 minutes at a 61%. I know we have an 80% takedown defense from Kennedy, but if Jung is able to even, work him against the cage and get some control time, as you see against William Knight here, I mean, 12 minutes of control time for Jung. And there was plenty of ground and pound to go along with it. Then, you see against Ibragimov, he gets the round 3 submission, but, he gives up 3 minutes of control, but he's able to win the distance striking battle until Ibragimov kind of wears down. So it's nice to see that he can go the distance and maintain his own. I think minus 120 could be a bit of a steal, given that Nzechukwu is going to at least give up the first round.
Yeah, and if you pull up Nzechukwu's grappling statistics, right? Can we just take a look at that? I know we don't have a huge sample size for Nzechukwu, though.
Right. So, I mean, he's got the 80% takedown defense, but he gave up 4 to Darko Stosic.
Right. So, but wait, look at this.
So, really Paul Craig.
Wait. Thank you. I wanted to bring this up.
There you go.
So, Craig went 1 of 16. So, do you know what that does to somebody's stats? His leg, my foot was a balloon. All right. It balloons the stats up. So, when you see that, and then you see Darko Stosic, who goes 4 of 10, which is actually, I looked into it. He was like a 50% wrestler, and that's 40%. So technically, he did okay, but it's still not very impressive in terms of it. Nzechukwu's just a big guy, so you see somebody like Sean Woodson, who's a big guy, that sometimes it makes it tough to take down when you're big, but with the proper technique, you're gonna get it. So I do think that it's not if, but when Dong Jung does get the takedown, I just don't know that. I don't know that I'm super confident that that he's gonna win with it, can do it forever. But you're right. I don't think that in Nzechukwu, like you said, he doesn't. Jung's not gonna gas like that. So I think I do. Yeah. I certainly lean Jung here, and especially at the line that's basically. Right, basically pick him here.
Right. I mean, so listen, this fight, I really do think that Jung is not only going to win, but this fight, I don't know that it goes the distance, but I really do think it goes at least over 1.5. So if we go to our favorite type of parlay, you got Dong Jung and over 1.5 is plus 120 instead of the minus 120.
Yes.
That's my bet right there, because the resilience of Kennedy and Nzechukwu, and then you get plus money on Jung. And listen, Dong Jung, I really think he's legit. I'm pulling up Sam Alvey fight because although he went 0 of 3 on takedowns, he still got 2.5 minutes of control and was successful at times in the clinch against a guy in Alvey who is very successful in the clinch. He follows that up with the 12 minutes of control against William Knight. I like the trend I'm seeing. He's going to use the wrestling. And I do think Kennedy is one of the skinnier guys, and that reach advantage is actually going to be detrimental when it comes to the thicker guy getting into him.
Right.
Oops. Yeah, maybe pause on that. Yeah, just the
Oh my
verbiage that we
goodness.
use there. Yeah, we're gonna
Good
move along.
Lord.
Anyways, so yeah, I think we covered that fight. Kennedy, I'm sorry, Daun Jung to win and over 1.5 plus 120. That's my
Yeah,
pick.
that was beautiful, but that was not. So
Yeah, no, that was
somebody tag that.
maybe we'll make that our highlight of the week to post on our Instagram.
Nice. Yeah.
uh, shout out
So,
Clint for the tinfoil hat last week. Oh man, that was great.
oh man, that was our honorary one, man. That was our first one. So yeah, man. Shout out Die Hard Picks, man. Go check him out. Die Hard Pod
Yeah.
MMA. Yeah, on Twitter,
Anywho,
Instagram.
let's go. Next fight. We got Marcia versus Rafael Alphys. This fight has a lot of potential to be extremely exciting as well. I
Oh
I
yeah.
really think both these guys bring the heat in the stand up, and we've seen them get actively grappled in the past. To deal with that, I think these guys are going to get to have a stand up war here. What are you thinking?
Hang on. I'm just trying to figure out if I saw this right. Yeah, I don't know, man. That's I guess because DeCasey's last 4 fights in a row have gone the distance. But man, does that guy not fight like a distance fighter? He cracks. What's his nickname? The Bone Crusher? Oh
That's
my
it.
goodness. Man, he smacks. And you watch his fight with Rafael Fiziev in his last outing. And it's just one of those unfortunate situations where he's a striker and Fiziev's a striker as well. And Fiziev's striking is just better. And then not only is he better where DeCasey's at his best, but Fiziev was just also the better MMA fighter too. He was just better all around. And I'm not trying to take anything away from DeCasey at all. He hung with him. It's almost similar to and it wasn't as much of a landslide. Obviously, this is the biggest landslide ever, but similar to the Cater Holloway fight. It's just somebody is just so much better than you in all aspects. But I do give him credit for being able to hang with him. So, with all that being said, I don't think Alvarez, who is barely able to hang with Demirez Magulov, right, other than that really pressure cooked first round, I don't think that he stands through Jacasey. I think Jacasey finally breaks through here. I think he might even get a finish. He hasn't gotten
Ooh.
he hasn't gotten a finish since 2017, and
Ooh.
I do think it's possible, and I also think it's possible that if we're gonna go the other side, if it's the dog side, I think the only way he wins is by finish anyway.
Ooh.
So
So
maybe
interestingly enough,
I think this is
f-
the fight that doesn't go the distance.
plus
You
110.
know, yeah. Or you can, yeah. So that's and they listen, and there's nothing wrong if if you went even if you felt the other way with Casey. What's our favorite prop there? Over 1.5. I like that too for this fight. I do think it go. I don't think it maybe is a first round finish, but
Hmm.
Casey in the over 1.5 is minus 135. So I don't necessarily
Uh,
love that.
I would rather just play the plus 110 doesn't go the distance because you get protected either side on a finish. Alves has 7 knockout and 7 submission wins, but he also has 3 knockout and 6 submission losses. Um, Diakese could definitely get a finish, and I wouldn't put it past Alves to sell out to get a finish himself. I mean, he hurt Ismagulov in the first round of their fight last time they fought, and he even got him in a couple bad positions on the ground where you thought he might be able to get lock in a guillotine here or there. But I mean, ultimately, I don't feel super comfortable on either side. And
You
right
don't like
now, if
you don't like the Casey money line at minus 190?
JKC minus 190. I mean, that should be solid as hell. I just
66%,
yeah.
65%.
I mean, listen, JKC is my pick. I don't know that I'm gonna have him in a parlay or anything.
Interesting.
Uh
I feel like at 65%, I like him. I think because I feel like I like him up to about 70%.
that's
But
interesting.
yeah,
I kind of just like that inside the distance, but I don't know that I'm even gonna necessarily play
and
that. I don't come away wanting to
the
make a
inside
huge
the
play on this
distance
fight.
is fading a narrative. That it's not even it's fading the narrative in value. There's it's tough to
Right.
I'm just I'm kind of
Well,
reading into
that's
that.
my ultimate point is that I myself don't have a great read
Yeah, you
on
don't
this
have a
fight, but
strong.
but
So
it sounds like you are leaning
yeah,
pretty, decently heavy on GKC, and I've been known to come around after weigh-ins
on a
and
tough.
talking the rest of
Yeah,
the week. So generally,
on
when
a
you
tough.
get that strong of a feel, I can be talked into it as the week goes on. So stay tuned and see if it makes it on our Bet MMA plays.
100% on
I think it's yeah.
on a tough card where it's going to be. I feel like it's tough to find really hard, solid spots. I feel relatively solid about Jacasey here. One thing I did quickly want to bring up was that this is Jacasey's first fight on U.S. soil since his split decision loss to Drakkar Klose in July of 2017. So it has been a long time since he has been in Las
Uh,
Vegas.
and in all fairness, Casey, 2-inch height advantage, 5-inch reach advantage. Okay, maybe you're starting to get through to me here.
Thank you for I should have brought those specs up from the beginning, shouldn't I have? But
Yeah.
that's a good point too. I like that. So
All right.
minus
So
190
hey,
seems fair.
I'm coming around on it. I could totally feel that. But let's keep it moving here. We got our next fight. Courtney Cast Iron Casey versus Liana She Wolf Jojua. Jojua coming in plus 195 and Casey at minus 240. Casey's got a 3-inch height and a 5-inch reach advantage. And I just think her offensive wrestling is probably, not so great.
Did you say
uh
minus 240?
yeah, that feels dirty, right?
Did you say
Courtney Casey is a
minus
minus
240
240.
on the 9-9 Courtney Casey, who's coming off 2 losses?
Her career record doesn't even match up with that percentage of like that's a 70% right there as far as a win probability for Courtney Casey on the line, and her career record even out. I mean, her record in
Wait,
the
what do you
UFC is
mean?
five
What
and
do you
eight.
mean 70? Wait, what do you mean
So
70%?
minus 240 would be like
Oh,
71%
oh,
as
oh,
far as a
oh.
probability.
Yeah,
So
and she's
Courtney
50.
Casey's record in the UFC is 5 and 8. So I
Oh,
mean, that's more
jeez.
that yeah. So listen, I mean, Jojua, what is she really? So does she get a submission here? Courtney Casey has 2 submission
No.
losses. I mean, one to Jillian Robertson.
Maybe.
I don't know. I mean,
Oh,
Jojua,
and
she's got
that's
some master of sports and grappling, but like,
a rear naked
uh,
choke late in the 3rd round. I don't want to say that I haven't watched that fight recently, but she's probably just tired.
not it's true. But listen, I mean, Jojua got that round 1 Belbita armbar, so could she pull something off if Casey tries to use her size and go into the grappling realm? I mean, I don't listen. Let's put it this way: I'm not going to be putting money on this fight. The
No,
line feels
oh,
so sketchy, but Courtney Casey should win.
God, no. And listen, what have we said that, when there's a lot of uncertainty about fights, the line should be closer together, and this line is too far apart. So, dog or pass in terms of a bet, and I don't know. In terms of, I mean, I do know. I'll probably circle Courtney Casey, and like I said, in terms of a bet, dog or pass.
There you go. Let's get on to our next fight. I actually have a little bit of a stronger feeling on this one.
Woo!
We got Sean the Sniper Woodson
That's a
versus
terrible
Colin
nickname.
Anglin, who doesn't even have a nickname. Right now, Sean Woodson at minus 335, Colin Anglin at plus 260. Sean Woodson has a 5-inch height advantage and a 7-inch reach advantage.
That's huge. Does he have the? What's his
It's
reach? Is it the longest? 79-inch reach. That's insane.
78.
78. It says 79
Yeah.
on
Where?
Tapology. So they
Yeah,
lie.
Tapology's never right. Yeah. You got to
They
use
are
UFC
lies.
stats.
Not for sure.
So I mean, listen, they land. I wouldn't even take Anglin's stats really at like face value because we're looking at, Dana White
Just
Contender
a
Series opponents, and then Bagdasarian was such a quick fight that it really doesn't reflect well. Now, Anglin, if he commits to the grappling, would he even be able to take Woodson down consistently given the size disadvantage and Woodson's 81% takedown defense against some pretty high level UFC opponents that have really tried to grapple against them?
honestly, I I don't know, man. I kind of think so. I found myself on the dog. I found myself on Colin Anglin, and not for any sort of strong play or anything, but I talk about dirty lines. I don't trust Sean Woodson here. The last time I played Sean Woodson at this kind of number, he was losing to Julian Erosa. He got Julian Erosa'd. Like, that happens, right?
Well, if you don't have one
The
punch
round
knockout
3.
power, Julian Erosa will put the pace on you. And like,
Right.
I mean, Woodson won the first 2 rounds, but Erosa is just so
Right.
good at
You got
staying on the
Erosa.
front foot.
He
Yeah.
got the third round submission that he loves so much. So
Yeah.
he got Erosa. It happened.
Yeah. I mean, but listen, I think aside from that, Woodson's shown the ability to use, 57% defense
But like, so the thing with
for only 43% accuracy.
So 40. All right. Well, so he doesn't really use his offense very much. He definitely prefers more to strike, and I don't know how much. So you also have to the Terrence McKinney fight is included in there where he won by flying knee.
He was losing the majority of that fight.
Right, and then there's the Kyle Bochniak fight, who's not even in the UFC anymore, right? And then no, he's out of the UFC. Then he loses to Anarosa and gets a split decision win versus Yusuf Zalal, which probably was
It should have
unanimous.
been a unanimous.
Yeah, it should have been 2 rounds to 1 or whatever. But he showed good takedown defense, kind of. It was just that he was tall, and Yusuf Zalal is not a wrestler. He's like, isn't he more? He's a Muay Thai striker that's that has shifted to MMA. This guy, Colin Anglin, wrestled for Michigan. Like, wrestling is his background. It is how he got into MMA. And then you look at his small sample size that we do have of his stats, and if you could pull up Colin Anglin's small sample size of stats, you'll see that his takedowns. You scrolled down a little too much, buddy. Could you scroll up a little?
Oh, you wanted to look at.
Where are you going?
Oh, I was going to show you individuals.
No, I don't want that. Thank you. What I wanted was his takedown average of 2.75 per 15 minutes at 80%. That's what I wanted. So that's across 2 fights, obviously, one of which he lost fairly quickly.
Well, he went 3 of 3 against Naimov, and he went 1 of 2 against Melsik.
Right. So that's decent, and it shows that that's the game plan that he tried to get going. And where Woodson, I'm not sure that you're not gonna be afraid of him to really knock you out, are you? No, this guy's gotten decision wins all across his regional career. So you're not afraid of that unless of the freak flying knee. But as long as you can navigate those long limbs, tripping people when you're a wrestler, like he had the inside trips as opposed to just the body lock takedowns or whatever the basic bullshit that Zalal was putting out there.
Right, like the single leg and
the same thing over and over. And you want my cherry on top? Here's my cherry on top, baby. Where does Colin Anglin trade? Out of Factory X with Yusuf Zalal.
Revenge.
So,
plus 260.
With Eric Nixick in your corner, man. And by the way, very interestingly enough, told on the Lock of the Night podcast.
Wait, Eric Nixick, what?
Yeah, isn't Eric Nixick coaches? Oh no, that's
that's
Factory
Montoya.
X. No, that's Montoya.
No, that's Montoya.
Fuck. Not Eric Nixick. Anyway, why did I mix that up?
I don't know. Continue.
But anyway, he had James Krause in the corner. That's why I'm confused, because he did have James Krause in the corner for Colin Anglin's Dana White Contender Series fight, which was weird because James Krause is not his coach, because I'm pretty sure Lock of the Night told the story that he filled in for him, but maybe I have it mixed up.
I don't know. I think that tweet ended up getting deleted. Anywho,
no, it wasn't a tweet; it was on his podcast. But anyway,
okay,
it doesn't matter.
Anyway, so yeah, I mean, I think you got an interesting angle with Anglin. Should be
his nickname? That's his nickname, Colin the Angle.
Anglin.
Anglin.
Listen, I think you do make a good point where Melsik had the knockout power to deter Anglin from wanting to get inside and mix it up. I don't think Woodson really packs that punch, so Anglin could really just go in and get some control time. That is an interesting point. And I think I might need to go do a little bit more research because I was thinking about playing Woodson as a parlay piece, but to be honest with you, now that I kind of take those factors into consideration, I'm seeing your angle here
Yeah,
with
my angle
angling.
angling. And by the way, whether my caveat was right or not, I know for sure he trains with Yusuf Zalal. Like that's a they train together. Like on the you can watch the Dana White Contender Series footage.
Mm.
Like when they do the little blurb as he's walking in, it's Zalal introducing him as his training partner.
All right.
So like they train together. So yeah,
So
I
let's
lean angling here.
let's move right along. We have in our next matchup, we have Miguel. What is it? Caramel. Oh no. They moved that
No,
one. I'm
no,
sorry. We have
yes.
Cynthia Calvillo versus Andrea Lee. Sorry
And you
guys,
know
I
what?
jumped the
And by
gun
the way, that fight should have been on the main card from the
to
jump.
begin with.
If not the
We'll
headliner
get
to that
back there.
fight.
And we will get back there. Because you know what? You're goddamn right. Anywho,
Thank you.
we got Cynthia Calvillo versus Andrea Lee.
KGB.
Calvillo taking one of the most gigantic steps down in competition you could possibly take in women's MMA, going from Jessica Andrade to Andrea Lee. I'm sorry, no offense to Andrea Lee, or maybe a little bit of offense because
Yeah,
she's
you don't
married
like
to a
Andrea Lee.
neo-Nazi. She's married to a neo-Nazi. What else am I supposed to say? Okay.
Yeah, that's fair.
No, I don't like that. Okay.
Her
Like she knows
forehead
what
is
she's
the
doing.
size
All
of
right.
her forehead is the size of Texas. It's fair.
Anyways, it made me so happy when she lost to Roxanne Modafferi. I have probably a gigantic amount of bias, but Calvillo at minus 130 seems like a gigantic steal. It's not like she got knocked out cold versus Andrade. It was just kind of like she couldn't deal with the barrage and like
I don't know. I don't
she
love
got
it.
listen, I don't love it, but Andrea Lee at plus 110, that seems like an overreaction to her beating Antonina Shevchenko. All of her fights
Yeah.
before that, she loses to Roxanne Modafferi, she loses to Lauren Murphy, she loses to Joanne Calderwood. I mean,
You're right.
like
You're
listen,
right.
Andrea Lee, she beat Montana De La Rosa back in 2019 before De La Rosa really started making her improvements. Ashley Evans Smith, Veronica Macedo, Rachel Austin. I mean, come on, those wins are not great, and Antonina Shevchenko is not the best one to add to it. So ultimately, it really does just come back down to I'm going with Cynthia Calvillo, and I'm not gonna say inside the distance or not. I just think minus 130 is a solid enough price. Like there's going to be someone else on this card that you could throw it together with, and if you don't want to do the parlay from earlier, you could do it with Jung if you want a minus 130 and minus 120. But I think that there would be someone else that you could parlay her with, and honestly, at minus 130, you could just play that straight.
Yeah, I don't be parlaying this fight because I don't know how confident you can feel in either side. I'm not sure that we've seen KGB right use some wrestling and some. I don't know how great Calvillo's wrestling is going to be in comparison. I mean, I guess she had the draw with Marina Rodriguez, which is probably the last time we're going to be looking at some sort of. I mean, not even right. When was the last time she actually faced a wrestler? Carla Esparza. When was the last time she faced somebody that's going to shoot more than 2 takedowns across 15 minutes? It's a problem. So, and it's also on short notice after she got knocked out less than 2 months ago. It's a full, and I'm a degenerate. This is a full pass from me, homie. I got nothing. I just got, I got, I
That's
got a,
fair.
I got a laundry list of reasons why I don't know, like why each side is crazy. That's what I got. I got a laundry list of reasons why each side is crazy. Fights
That's
goes the
fair.
distance. Fight goes the distance at minus 5 million. Like whatever.
Fair
Doesn't
enough.
and I don't even love that fight. It actually says fight to go the distance at minus 190, which is like a really fair number. So that seems too fair.
You're right.
And
Let's not touch this one.
and then you know what? That line might be an overreaction to both of them having finishes their last fight. I don't think either one of them right because Andrea
I don't think
KGB
either
Lee
one is finishing the other.
yeah, That was Andrea KGB Lee's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That was her 7th UFC fight and her first UFC finish. So, and
Yeah.
Calvillo has only lost by finish. Oh wait, yeah. She had no. Sorry, she won. She beat Battaglia by rear naked choke once, and she lost to Jessica Andrade last time once. This fight is going the distance. So Oh, and you're fine. She beat Pearl Gonzalez as well. We love Pearl. Sorry, Pearl. And she also beat Amanda Cooper in her debut. So that was also in 2017. My one bet, and it's actually not even a bad one. This fight is going the distance at minus 190. I actually think that's a steal.
Not bad. All right.
Moving the fuck on.
Yes, we got Tiako Moises versus Joelle Alvarez. I'm all over Moises in this spot. I mean, okay, listen, on
Have to
paper,
be.
Joelle Alvarez has a 6-inch height advantage and a 7-inch reach advantage. Tiago Moises was just in the main event against Islam Makhachev and made it to the 4th round in heavy grappling exchanges. There's no way Joel Alvarez is submitting him. I'm sorry. If he does it, I'll come back on the show. I'll apologize to you guys. I'll write a formal apology. I'll do something crazy. Tiago Moises is winning this fight. Minus 240 is probably not a wide enough line. Tiago Moises is my favorite parlay piece on this card. Throw down Tiago Moises. And Tiago Moises, just any which way, I'm not really comfortable playing like an over, blah, 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 because Alvarez is way too accepting of being taken down and shit, and Moises could just finish him right away. I don't know.
Yeah, and other than his first loss ever, like being a freak head kick knockout in M1 Global, and then his decision loss to Demiris Magulov in 2019. I mean, he's a fairly durable guy. So I honestly think from like a sipping the tea kind of overarching standpoint, Tiago Moises did the UFC a fucking favor, man. He stepped
Yeah.
in against it. He sacrificed his spot. He stepped in the main event spot. He stepped in against a
Yep.
killer, right? Didn't that whole fight week change on short notice or something to be weird? I don't know. I think there
It
was
did.
something weird behind.
It
Yeah, there
did. It
was
was
something
supposed
weird
to be
behind.
RDA.
Thank you. There was weird shit behind all that. So Moises stepped up. They're tossing him a bone here. We haven't seen Alvarez fight since the Yakovlev fight, which was October 2020, Gaethje versus Khabib. So it's been a while, and I don't think that he has really anything for him. He's gonna need a finish, and Moises has shown himself to be too. He has got an IQ, high fight IQ. He's savvy, and he's pretty well rounded everywhere. So Moises is
Listen,
probably the lock of the week.
Moises outstruck Bobby Green. He landed the power strikes and hurt Bobby Green. I mean, that should tell you something as far as the developments he's made on the feet. And he is a higher ranked grappler and legitimately has been grappling, I mean, since he's been 8 years old. High ranked jiu-jitsu black belt. Tiago Moises is not getting submitted by Joel Alvarez. And as a guy who has 2 knockouts and 16 submissions on his record, that's Joel Alvarez's path to victory, and it's just not happening. Moises all day, minus 240 is not enough. You can do we throw 11
Get it
units
now.
on that?
Get it
Guru?
now. Get it now. Get it now. I promise you it will be minus 300 by fight day. Wait, can we actually talk about that really, really quickly? The same exact line. Courtney Casey or Tiago Moises. That right there, everybody, is exactly what we're talking about when somebody deserves a fucking number and somebody doesn't. Okay? Courtney Casey minus 240 or Tiago Moises minus 240. If you want to even be the most basic gambler and we're just talking about building parlays and you don't even care about what the entity is that you're betting on. We're like they're not even the same values of entities, right? Like he's such a good fighter. Courtney Casey is nowhere near as dependable. Like it's just
Wow. And then
yeah.
Woodson at minus 335. I totally see what you're
Oh
saying, but
my
you know
god,
what?
yes.
Okay, so as an idea, if you parlay Jacasey at minus 190 with Moises at minus 240, you get plus 116.
Minus 116 or plus?
Plus 116. I know you're obsessed with that plus money, so
Yeah, I love that. I love that.
I
GKC at
mean, is
minus
that it?
190.
Is that a 3-unit play on Bet MMA?
Duh,
Two unit.
two or three. Two or three.
We'll
We'll see
talk. We'll
how
talk it down further.
we'll
We'll
talk it
watch the
how
line movement.
and I also want to see what other plays we end up with for the rest of the card for the rest of the week. Anything else we may see.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, though, if we're gonna talk about blah 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 blah, it's only right to pull up, that this is, Moises is going to be a play of the day here,
Oh,
folks.
has to be play
Yeah,
of the day.
yeah. We're just finding
Tiago,
another piece to go with them.
yeah, Tiago Moises straight up is the play of the day. Yeah, listen, if you got bread, put it down. Whatever, 240 to win 100, like whatever. I mean,
All
you got
right,
bread.
let's take a
But
jump to the main card here.
I'm ready for this jump. So this is what I'm saying. Like, how exciting have these fights been, right? That we broke down. The next two fights are what I've been like. I just like, let's get into
Yeah.
it. Oh my
So here
god.
we go, Mr. Fight Night Picks. We have
Shout
Song
out Craig and
Yudong
Matt.
versus Julio Arce. This one is sure to be a striking battle. Yudong has been someone that's been around for
Block.
years. I mean, he was sent at 10 years old to learn wushu. He won a gold medal at 12. He studied sanda. So he's got some of the traditional backgrounds. He's now
MMA career started
23
at
years old.
15.
Yeah, he's 18-4-1 at 23 years old. I mean, that's just super impressive. And also, you see the chin he has. It's absurd. that head kick he took in the first round from Kyler Phillips, still don't know how he's standing to this day. Yeah, I mean, he's got a blockhead, but he also comes in with a 3-inch reach disadvantage against Julio Arce. And Arce is the southpaw in this matchup. I think it could get a little tricky. Looking over, the stats, I don't think that either guy is going to really have the grappling edge in this fight. If anything, Yudong might be a little bit more powerful and could land like a blast double, but I do see him more willing to kind of be working off the back foot with some counters and keep this fight standing for the most part. I feel like his .49 takedowns shows that he's not really the one looking to initiate for the most part, but he is able to scramble and get to his feet when it gets to an issue. Now, Julio Arce, coming out of Tiger Schulman's camp, I mean, he's super impressive with the hands. He can mix it up. He goes to the body. He has good leg kicks. Uh, he'll go with the combos, working to the body and back up to the head. And I think that's why we saw him actually provide Andre Ewell with his first UFC knockout. Loss, that is. So Arce's got 5 knockout wins, 5 submission wins, 7 decisions. But in the UFC, he's got 2 knockouts, 1 sub, and 1 decision. I see Arce at +110 as some serious value here. I mean, are you leaning the same direction, or what do you think on this fight?
God, it's I did. I do. I was leaning. I am leaning Arce. I do find myself somewhat pausing because I was so impressed with just how Song Yudong looked against Casey Kenny, man.
Mhm.
That split decision for as much as I love Casey, I bet on him that fight, man. And I bet on him versus Dom Cruz. So now I'm just annoyed at how much money I've lost on Casey Kenny. But I liked Casey Kenny over Song Yudong, but watching that fight, man, Song Yudong won that fight fair and square. He's got quick hands, awesome combinations. Just was really, really very impressive. Punishing body work. What do they say? Punches and bunches. Like he was really uh exercising that to a major degree, and it frazzled Kenny. He didn't really know what to do with it. And that's where I think somebody like Julio Arce kind of comes into play because he's that vet that's not too old. You know what I mean? Like they have right. Yudong has one more professional fight than him, or 2 more professional fights than him, and but Arce's 10 years older. So it's like about tread on the tires, but also wisdom. So that's kind of my meta analysis for why I lean Arce at plus money, other than, of course, loving me some plus money. But in my head, before I saw the line, I lined it at and I lined it -160 and +130. So I was surprised to see it a little lighter.
Yeah, I really think that this fight is going to be fireworks, and I don't think that either guy is going to get a finish here. I think they're both very technically sound. In the UFC, all their losses have come by decision, although that they do have finishing tendencies offensively. I just don't know if the other guys can be finished. So minus 190 for the fight to go the distance. I
No,
definitely
no,
think
no, 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 no. How about minus 158 on FanDuel
there
for
you
the
go.
fight
That's why
to
we
go the
search for
distance?
value, huh?
Yeah, minus 158 for the fight to go the distance on FanDuel. And why not parlay that to I don't know what the line is yet on FanDuel, but hopefully when they release it, it's a comparable line to what they have on DraftKings for the Calvillo Lee fight to go the distance. You could parlay both of those fights to go the distance
Got it.
together.
I like that. I like
That could
that.
be fun.
Interesting. Keep your eyes peeled for our bet MMA if we go with those. And let's get on to the next fight. We've got
Yeah.
now we've got Miguel Caramel Thunder Baeza versus Chaos Williams. I mean, the Ox Fighter, you don't even need the Ox Fighter. He's Chaos Williams. I feel like I mean, his name is Kalen. Chaos is already the nickname, right? Like, why is it, why do we have another nickname also? I guess he's strong as an ox, but like, that didn't make too much sense to me looking into it. Anyways, now that we get down into the fight, Miguel Baeza is going to have a 2-inch height advantage, but Chaos Williams has a 3-inch reach advantage. They both typically fight out of orthodox. And so far, we've seen in the UFC that they have a very similar level of volume. But I mean, it definitely seems like Miguel Baeza's got much better accuracy. Now, I will say when you fight Michel Pereira, it makes it very difficult from an accuracy standpoint, especially when your other fights end within like 3 seconds. And also, Matthew Semmelsberger is very high level. So I give a lot of credit to Chaos Williams for how he's shown out, but also at the same level, you talk about impressive losses. Miguel Baeza versus Santiago Ponzinio. Let's go down into the breakdown for that fight because Baeza lands 104 strikes to the 121 of Ponzinibbio, and you see Baeza come out firing hot in the first round, and he basically just gassed out. I mean, his output goes way down, and he's just kind of hanging on at the end. I know he has 110 significant strike attempts, but he's really just matching the pace of Baeza, and you could tell his gas tank just can't keep up from a getting there first standpoint, and Ponzinibbio really just is pouring on the pressure, and it was very impressive to see Baeza make it the distance there. Was there anything you took from that fight, Guru?
I mean, what I took from the fight more was how impressive the vet showing of Santiago Ponzinibbio was, because I was on Baeza there, and after that first round, I'm like, man, Baeza is a beast, man. Write his ticket, and then he wilted and lost those next 2 rounds, and it was a bummer from a better standpoint, and a handicapper standpoint, to make that mistake. Um, this is one of those fights where I cannot wait for it. I'm so excited. Um, I feel like, and again, I don't know if I'm chasing value, but I find myself on the dog. At Chaos Williams at plus 125. I also find myself maybe trying to fade a narrative with this fight going the distance at over 2.5 plus 100.
Ooh.
I,
And you get that extra half a round just in case.
Yeah. So, and I'm sure that line will change if that's really how they feel about it, with the under 2.5 at minus 130. So I I
I'm
don't want to
ready
be
to
weird.
break out the banner.
Yeah, no, no, I don't want to go that far.
Oh,
You
come
really feel
on.
that?
Well, who's yours?
I guess I mean, it's either him or Arce. So,
Honestly, there's another one that I
or,
might do though.
I like almost Anglin better as my dog of the day, honestly.
I'll be honest, there's another one that you're going to be so mad about.
Yeah,
There's
I
a
already
lot of
know who
dogs
it
on
is.
this
I
card.
already
There's a
know who it
lot
is.
of dogs on this card.
There's a lot of dogs barking, but I don't know that all will hit home. So I guess essentially that means if you play small, conservative, even units, essentially, like, you can win if some of these dogs cash home because there's value. But his dogs cash more often than not. But it's what are the odds that both Arce and Chaos hit? I know that they're obviously mutually
So,
exclusive, but
well, here's my question: is what were the odds that so many favorites hit on the last two pay-per-views? I mean, I'm just saying I
yeah.
see more opportunities on
You're
this
right.
card for these underdogs that I'm looking into than I felt were on the other cards, and that's why I didn't bet as many on the other cards.
No, and you're right, and that's what I'm saying. I do see, and that's what I'm saying. I see value in Chaos Williams as an underdog here, especially a plus 125. I think that line
Mm.
gets even closer as you get closer to fight day. I just, and I want to air it to the viewers too. I air out my thinking process, which is, I don't want to just be chasing dog money on somebody I quote unquote like or somebody that's exciting or something like that. I want to talk it through. And you're right. I mean, I think there might be value there. I mean, is it possible that we're devaluing Baeza after an unfortunate loss to an incredible vet in Ponzinibio? Because do we feel that as good as Pereira and Semmelsberger are, like that Ponzinibio even still is on a plane above that, or no, maybe not. Like
I just
maybe
don't.
maybe Michelle Pereira and Santiago Ponzinibio would put on an incredible fight. Like, what's the line in that fight? Maybe that's an interesting thing.
So I would say that the two things that stood out to me for this fight was seeing how Pereira was able to get two takedowns on Chaos, but only with a minute 20 of control. And Chaos had 36 seconds of control himself. So it showed that his wrestling defense has really, really, really improved, and
Are
his
you
get up game
concerned
has
that Baez
improved.
is going to wrestle?
I think that he's had that in his back pocket against his last few opponents before Ponzinibbio. I don't think that's in his back pocket here because it's always been like, oh, sneaky black belt, blah, blah, blah. But like, I don't think that that's something that he could really lean on in this fight if he needed to, because I think Chaos is going to have a big time strength advantage here. And MMA Masters, I mean, it seems like a solid camp. It seems like he could have been getting some good work with Colby and all that. But I really do think that Chaos has been showing some extremely, extremely solid improvements in the grappling department and his
Agreed.
striking. I mean, he's out striking Michel Pereira and Matthew Semmelsberger, who are just lights out against their other opponents. So that's just super impressive to me.
And you know what's also interesting now that you think about it? Maybe Ponzinibbio has like the veteranship or the technical ability over Chaos, but is Chaos not going to be stronger, quicker, more powerful, more explosive?
Yeah, and I think that Baez is going to have to be a lot more careful with his power, and I think that he's going to have to operate from a safer perspective in this fight because he knows what Chaos brings to the table.
This is also a possibility, mind you, that we could look back and just say that Miguel Baeza, the more technical MMA fighter, just took Kalen to school here.
Yeah, I wouldn't put it past this. So yeah, maybe you
I
know what? Not the dog of the day because Baeza is so talented. That is a very good point. But I do lean Chaos because I think this is a more 50-50 fight and you get the dog purse.
agreed. So I think I think he's there's with too many dogs on this card. I'm not comfortable, really going off on dog of the day. Me, Colin Anglin is the guy that really interests me the most.
As
Maybe it's
far as
just
from
because
a
of the
price perspective.
yeah, especially because of that. I just feel
Yeah.
like it makes the least sense. I feel like he's the most likely to hit home too. Like
Well,
yeah, I don't know. I like it. I
you
like
ready to
him.
fly through this next fight? No
Yeah, we
offense.
get. Yeah,
I
let's go.
listen, we got Felicia Spencer, the Phenom versus Leah Letson. I mean, come on. Just from my perspective, this is a setup fight for Felicia Spencer, getting her back on track. Leah Letson's been out with like life-threatening injuries or career-threatening injuries, and the only win on her record was Stoliarenko on Ultimate Fighter. I had a really tough time even finding that, and this isn't a fight that I feel comfortable playing Felicia Spencer at minus 310, but yeah, she's going to be my pick. I mean, that's really all I've got.
Well, she was obviously in the Ultimate Fighter, right? With
Yeah.
fight a win over Bay Malecki, which is worth I don't know of an
Yeah.
exhibition win, and she lost to Macy Chason with a knee to the body. So yeah, not much to break down. Eileen Spencer. I regrettably did not get to do much tape on this fight this week. So
Listen, a little MSG hangover from UFC 268. Maybe a
oh my
couple
god,
fights
what a card!
we're still going to be doing a little more research as the week goes on. So make sure you guys check out our BetMA tips and see what our final bets end up being, because there might be a couple that we end up coming around on. But yeah, we are getting our strongest plays here. Off to the next fight, our co-main event. It feels so disgusting to say that when the co-main event contains Ben Rothwell at -150 and Marcos Rogerio de Lima at +130.
Honestly, I'm so upset. Miguel Baeza Chaos Williams at first was on the prelims, wasn't even a headlining prelim. Should have been the headlining prelim. Now it's squeaked its way to the main card. Man, this fight should have been the co-main from the beginning.
Yeah, from the beginning.
Why not push these young guys?
I mean, even give me like Cynthia Calvillo and Andrea Lee. At least they're up. Big Ben Rothwell and Marcos Rogerio de Lima, the man who got 14 minutes of control time against Maurice Green.
Let them kick off the main card.
Can we switch it around? Like, is it too late for that? But
I don't think UFC cares. I don't think Dana cares what we have to say. Not yet, anyway. Soon, but not
fair
yet.
enough. So, all right, listen. Rothwell's got a 3-inch height advantage, a 3.5-inch reach advantage. He's also 4 years older and just like has not looked good, aside from when he faced Chris Barnett on short notice and got a completely gassed out Chris Barnett to shoot a desperate "please submit me" takedown in the second round. And before that, he beat OSP by split decision in OSP's short notice move up to heavyweight in COVID era by just leaning on him and almost getting knocked out, mind you. And then he also went with the nut shot TKO on Stefan Struve. He was like, well, I'm going to lose this fight unless I just start kicking Stefan Struve in the nuts until, Dan Miragliotta just tells him, listen, bro, just keep fighting, bro. You're going to win. He's going to take the points.
From MMA again.
So anyways, yeah. Okay. Those are the most recent wins for Ben Rothwell. Ew. Okay, so then we go back and his losses, Marcia and Tybura just put it on him. Arlovsky, yep, that was pretty easy. Ivanov, yep. Dos Santos, yep. Okay, then you get a little bit way too far back. But Ben Rothwell, my dude, he's going to be facing a guy that actually has really solid Muay Thai in Rogerio de Lima. And I guess he also has kind of decent wrestling ability against like guys like Maurice Green, but I bet he's not going to be out here trying to wrestle Ben Rothwell in the early parts of this fight. I do think that Ben Rothwell could get knocked the fuck out by Rogerio de Lima. And I think at +130, give me Rogerio de Lima.
I could not disagree with you anymore.
Talk to me.
And listen, and here's why, man. Big Ben Rothwell, while he hasn't looked particularly great, when has he ever looked particularly great? One thing I can give him is that even though he hasn't faced a super high level of competition, it's still higher of a level of competition than who Marcia de Lima has faced. And de Lima beat Maurice Green, kicked him out of the UFC in a fight that we had dubbed possibly loser was going home. Without a contract, and we were right on that accord. And let's just be real. Marcia de Lima is just fat. He's not look at his Tapology picture. The dude's ripped. He does not look like that. That's the biggest catfish. So he's not a real heavyweight. He's a light heavyweight fighting at heavyweight. Big Ben Rothwell is going to have 5 inches of reach on this boy. He's gonna keep him at range, touch him up. Only 3?
Yeah.
Why did I have 5? Anyway, 3 inches of reach. He's what Ben does use well. He utilizes his jab and his range very well. He hits fucking hard, even still at 40 years old.
He's got 42% striking accuracy and 47% defense.
It doesn't, dude.
Rogerio de Lima, 54% accuracy and 53% defense.
Tyler, we're not talking about high-paced welterweights. One punch, and these guys fold over at heavyweight.
But Rothwell hasn't done that to anybody.
Ben Rothwell hadn't submitted anybody in 11 years until he submitted Big Chris Barnett, who we just picked. So like, you know what I mean? Like it could be a knock on Gianvillante, and then and then we take Ben Rothwell as a knock on Chris Barnett, whatever. But the guy is a capable MMA fighter. He just got to win on a big stage. It was awesome, by the way, watching it live. And Big Ben also got the win here. And obviously, our goal is not to necessarily always agree. I'm just talking my side. I
Yeah.
think that Big Ben against guys that are not heavyweights is a win for him. He's too big. He's too strong. He hits too hard. What is Ruggiero going to do? Gas him out? That dude's gassed 6 minutes into every fight you've ever seen him in. Like, it's not happening. So he's going to take Ben down and sit on top of him?
Nah.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you're going to
Kick the
ground
shit
and
out of
pound
his
Ben?
kick the shit out of his lead leg and throw nasty hooks. And I just don't trust Ben's chin at this point.
You just don't like Ben. I think this is another personal thing for you. I'm on
Ooh.
Big Ben here. Again, not my biggest bet of the night with how confidently I am talking, but I like Ben here. I think he's gonna win.
A little discourse for the pod here.
Yeah, sure, why
I
not?
like that.
And Ben could even get another finish. Ben could even get another sub finish. So look out for that.
Ooh. Hey, listen, if there's a way that Rogerio de Lima is going to lose, it's by submission. He alternates wins and submission losses. So honestly, he is due for a submission loss. But I'm looking to fade the narrative question mark. Hey, listen, what's Rothwell sub? Because that could be a greasy submission prop of the day.
Yeah, we've needed one, so let's see.
Let's see. Rothwell by sub is plus 550. That's greasy enough for me. Let's go. What if I do De Lima plus 130 and Rothwell by submission at plus 550 to hedge out? Let's go.
You're insane. Nobody follow this man's advice. Oh my goodness. Yeah, listen. Again, this is we've dubbed it. This is the worst co-main event ever. I think it would be a disservice to everybody if we didn't break it down simply just because it's the co-main, even though it doesn't deserve to be one. But Ben has put his time into the sport, and he may not be a real UFC Hall of Famer per se, but he's like a fans Hall of Famer.
I mean, I guess. But hey, we took all this time. How about we get to the main event here?
Yeah, we did break down these fights pretty damn good.
Yeah. So Max Holloway minus 720, Yair Rodriguez plus 500. Here we are. Does that smell a little fishy to you for whatever reason?
It's just, I mean, it's a little. It just smells like public. The original line, or what? Where can I get it at? Where's the number? Hang on, I had it
here. All right, let's see.
So the number for me is right here. Oh wow, that's already changed. I wish
minus 320.
I wish I would have had it. I sent it to you earlier. Anyway,
minus 320 it open.
Yeah, that's a beautiful fucking number. If anybody got Max Holloway at minus 400, I mean, if you got that, then you're a savage. Good for you. And this line's now gotten away. Nobody's really giving Yair a chance, and that's really the point. And what did we learn from Clint? That after 300, after 400, right? It doesn't even matter as much anymore. So now at minus 500, 600, 700, yeah, it's sketchy, but it's almost like Max is gonna. It's like almost like a landslide. Like Max is gonna win, right?
Yeah, I don't know, man. This sketches me out, dude. Plus 500. I just don't think Yair Rodriguez is a guy that should ever be plus 500.
I think
if you ask me what my angle on this fight is, like there is a legitimate chance that Yair Rodriguez gets a knockout in the first 2 rounds. As much as no one wants to admit that or say it, like there's a non-zero chance Yair Rodriguez gets a knockout in the first 2 rounds.
Well, I think the reason that nobody's saying that is because I think we all recognize that it's a fight, and that's gonna happen.
Right, but like Yair Rodriguez is especially explosive, and Max Holloway is especially like hittable. he
Really
does
good there.
absorb 4.58 strikes per 15 minutes. Like that's not a I get that like compared to his opponents and that he's landing 7.26, but he still absorbs 4.5 strikes per 15 minutes. At some point does the chin break? I mean, like, listen, I'm still picking Max Holloway here. I'm just arguing that it's not
Well,
as far
minus
fetched for
200.
Yair to land something in plus 500. I'm not going to be playing the money line, but for me, as far as what I would like to play this fight to go the distance, no, minus 115. Or fight to end by knockout. The last I saw that was plus 100.
Yeah, I mean, if you're playing the fight not to go the distance, I mean, Max Holloway's not getting submitted. That would be crazy. And he's not getting knocked out. He's not losing on Saturday night. So if you're taking a Yair Rodriguez ticket money line, you're gonna see a big value ticket sitting in the trash on Sunday morning.
Max
And
Holloway by knockout plus 130 on DraftKings. If I was to
that
give you the side and whatever like that, I feel like Max Holloway's pressure in the small octagon and the apex, where Yair Rodriguez does have better defense than Calvin Kattar. He also has much worse cardio and much worse like resilience overall. He does have 2 knockout losses in his record, and I just have a feeling that this is going to be the third. Um, Holloway, he works his combos to the body up top. He's added in leg kicks a lot more since the first Volkanovski fight. And yeah, I mean, listen, I'm trying to just bring the fair side of things, but listen, it's Max Holloway. And if you want to fade any narrative, it's that Max Holloway can only win by decision. I think he's due for a knockout, plus 130. It's probably going to happen in the later rounds, but I don't like playing it over here because I just think he can get it at any point.
I just I find myself unable, and again, maybe you look back on it later and like you said, and you say otherwise, maybe he was due. I find myself unable to pull the trigger on Max by KO in that respect because he doesn't really show that, right? What was his last KO? Obviously, he's fighting the
I
best
mean,
guys. He's fighting the best guys, but he also fought Frankie Edgar 2 years ago, and Frankie Edgar was getting KO'd around then. He KO'd he doctor stoppage Brian Ortega, ground and pounded Jose Aldo twice. So that's actually pretty good.
well,
So it's
okay,
been a while.
listen,
You're
you
right. Maybe
saw,
he is due.
listen, Brian Ortega just proved again how tough he is in the Volkanovski fight. I mean, that's 2 times he
Yeah.
could have been finished. Any other guys probably finished in those 2 spots. Also, Holloway dropped Volkanovski twice in their second fight. So who else has done that to Volkanovski?
Nobody. Listen, Max
And
is the
did you see
listen.
how fucking badly Calvin K? Herb Dean needs to be like fucking stopped at this point. I mean, he's a menace, dude. Yo, Calvin Kattar, that fight and his quarter too. Yo, fuck that. I mean, they need to stop that fight. One of the
Relax.
two of them. No, dude,
If
Herb Dean or the corner needs to stop that fucking fight. Don't even give me,
I
oh, he
disagree.
was fighting
I
back, blah, blah.
I
No,
disagree.
dude, he was
I
donezo. He
disagree.
was
I
donezo.
disagree. I disagree. I don't think the Cater fight needed to be stopped personally. It wasn't like what was that fight? The Abu Dhabi fight where the ref got kicked out right away.
I
Like
mean,
that fight was disgraceful.
I
So
mean, did
like
you
that's
see
what
how scared Dana was?
yeah, he was scared, but I just don't I was scared too,
I
but
don't know,
like
man. How long has it
I
been?
just
We
don't
still
agree.
haven't seen Cater. We still haven't even heard from Cater.
What do you mean how long has it been?
Yeah,
That was our first pod.
yeah, exactly. So that's what I'm
That's
saying.
why
Like it's been
Holloway has a
nearly a year
special
now.
has a special vibe to us because he was our first pod. So it's
Mm,
nice to see him back here on pod 33.
very interesting. But hey, yeah, I
I,
mean Holloway's the
Max
pick, right?
Holloway is getting the win. And honestly, and the reason I'm taking Max and I'm taking him round 4 or 5 decision at minus 195 is because I'm giving some credit here to Yair Rodriguez. I'm not fully sold on your prop as much as I love it. Like if it's not going the distance, it's ending by KO. So to get that at plus money, I do like that. It's just I think you could have a war here. I really do. Like I do think that Max, of course, has some pressure, more pressure than you saw in the zombie fight, and more pressure than you even saw in the Jeremy Stevens fight. I just think that with 2 years off, Yair is going to be in a different shape. He looks in good shape and ready. You don't come to war with Max Holloway for 5 rounds unprepared. So I think it's going to be a war. And
You
like
know,
you
Max
said,
had to pull
and
out of the last fight with injury.
thank you, and I texted you that earlier this week, so thank you for making sure we said it on the pod that that Max had to pull out the last fight with an injury, which is rare for Max. So maybe he had some weird training things. I know now he's married or remarried now to a beautiful professional surfer, and Rush is growing up, man. It's just there's a lot of things going on, and you even said to start the fight that. Or start to breaking down the fight that Yair is, particularly explosive and does have a path. So I think it's just more of the fact that it's going to be one of those tough decisions, actually. Like, I think Yair maybe hangs tough for a couple rounds. Not that he maybe steals one.
I mean, if that's the case, plus 1,200, Yair by decision. If you really think that, you better be playing
No,
that if
I
you have
don't.
a bet on Max. If you
Yeah,
really think it goes the distance, I mean, like, if this fight goes the distance, I would think that
I mean, if you don't
I don't
think
even
so,
know,
then
man.
just, dude, if you don't think so, I mean, under four
Minus
and a half at
115.
under 4.5 at plus 124. Like, why even? Why are
I
you
I
even worried about KOs or whatever? Why not just
it's
cut out?
true.
Why not just start cutting out rounds if
You
that's
know,
really how
because
confident you feel?
when I was looking earlier in the week, I feel like the lines were a little bit different. But you're saying what's just inside the distance on FanDuel? Because on DraftKings it was minus 115.
What do you mean just inside the distance? Like,
Well, because you gave me the under 2.5.
oh, fight not to go the distance. Minus 102, even money.
So that's better than the minus 115 I'm seeing here. And I feel like the majority of money is coming in on this fight and the over or this fight to go the distance. If I see the line keep on moving further to plus money, that's probably going to be a solid play for me for this fight not to go the distance.
Didn't I send you this price earlier this week? I sent it to you. Yeah, so the line has flipped the other way, mind you, just so you're aware. I sent it to you earlier this week and I was interested, and you said you were interested the other way. The line was, will the fight go the distance? Yes, at plus 104, and no at minus 132. And that line has now
Flip.
ran the other way to minus 124 and minus 102. So if you want to say that that's public narrative, you can. My argument would be that we're early in the week, and that's would be early sharp line movement.
It's interesting. I still just feel like this fight doesn't see the distance, but you could have something here.
Yeah, no, I get it. And like that, I think either way, and how as close as maybe I maybe take you off of it, like that's why this line is as even as it gets. Minus 124, minus 102. That's like those are both minuses. There's no pluses there. Like you're
I feel
paying
like we've
big.
seen a lot of sure like not to go the distance recently, and that might be scaring some people off of that idea.
Or Tyler TV off that idea.
Mm-hmm.
So I get it. I get it. And like you said, I love the Max's due idea. I mean, I love that. And I love my play of 4-5 decision at minus 200 because you're getting crazy chalk on Max. Max is going to win. I do think that it goes a regular fight's amount of time. Yair Rodriguez is going to come here and it's going to be game.
Mm.
So maybe does he get finished in the fourth? Maybe. Does he get finished in the fifth? Maybe. Does it go to a crazy distance fight where, Max wins four rounds to one on 2 out of 3 judges scorecards and one gives it 5-0 or something. Whatever. What do I got to play crystal ball for? I think Max wins the fight, and I
Mm.
think that it. And I think it takes. I think we get into some championship rounds. I think we get a little extra time. But
All right.
yeah, I mean, dude, because I mean, imagine Max. If Max, listen to me. I don't care what this line says. If Max sparks Yair Rodriguez within 10 minutes, they're going to be calling him the GOAT. Like, they're going to be calling him pound for pound. They're going to be
I
calling
mean,
for Volkanovski's name for the
they
rooftop.
they were
I mean,
kind of already doing that anyways.
no, I know, but even like, I mean, like, if you, that's my point, dude. If you thought they were banging the drum before, if he finishes Yair quickly, something crazy, they will be banging it louder than you've ever heard in your life. I promise you.
Well, you may be right, Guru, but guys, thank you for making it this far. If you have, we really appreciate you following us. Make sure you give us a like and subscribe to this video, and please go and follow us on all our related content. Check out that Bet MMA because we've been going up, up, up. Guru, take us away, man.
Yeah, listen, thank you guys all so much for tuning in. Like my lovely co-host TB said, make sure you're checking us out on all of our social media platforms. Check that link tree. That link tree, it's got everything. Links to all of our stuff. You can give us even a little tip if you made some extra money or you just like our content. You can check us out on YouTube, obviously. Our Bet MMA tips. Man, this podcast is awesome, but if you're just check that Bet MMA page out, man. When we post those bets up Saturday, man, that's the whole point. Like, I would hate somebody to listen to this podcast for 2 hours a week and then not check that Bet MMA page on a Saturday. Go check that Bet MMA page. You can follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. You can follow my lovely co-host TB Scouting MMA on Instagram, Twitter, Verdict, and Tapology. And please find me at Guru Scouting MMA on Twitter, Verdict, Instagram, and Tapology. And that's it, right? Check us next week for UFC Vegas 43,
That's it.
Vieira versus Tate, right?
Hell
That
yeah. I mean,
that card, let me tell you something. If they keep all the fights there, Lord knows with how these fights go, that fights don't stay together. But there's like
mm,
15 scheduled fights, including Michael Chiesa versus Sean Brady, like Adrian Yanez back, follower of Chronic Combat Conversations, Terrence McKinney back. I mean, this card is really exciting. So stay tuned.
mm. Stay tuned, folks.